First fact, chocolate causes acne. This is a persistent myth. Scientific studies show that skin breakouts are not linked to chocolate itself, but to its excessive consumption, especially if it is sweet and fatty. Moderate consumption of pure dark chocolate with a high cocoa content does not affect the skin. The second fact, the belief that reading in poor lighting damages eyesight is a misconception. Yes, eyes become strained and tired, but no long-term harm has been proven. Vision doesn't deteriorate because of a dim lamp, but rather due to genetics, age, and constant eye strain, particularly at close range. Third fact, going outside in the cold with wet hair inevitably leads to a cold. However, colds are caused by viruses, not by cold temperatures. Having wet hair can lead to hypothermia, but without a virus, you won't get sick. Viruses spread more actively in winter, and this coincidence gave rise to the myth. Fact number 4. The recommendation to drink 8 glasses of water a day is not a universal standard. The required amount of liquid depends on several factors: body weight, climate, physical activity level, and diet. A significant portion of the daily water intake comes from food, including tea and soups. The most reliable indicator of sufficient water intake is the feeling of thirst and the color of urine, not the counting of glasses. Fifth fact, the claim that sugar makes children hyperactive is a myth, refuted by dozens of studies. Parents simply notice increased activity more often if they know the child has eaten sweets. The effect is in expectations, not in the sugar itself. Even placebo scenarios confirm this. Hyperactivity is suggested. Sixth fact, it is commonly believed that humans possess 5 senses: sight, hearing, smell, taste, and touch. In reality, however, the number of senses is much greater than 5. These include the sense of balance, temperature perception, proprioception, body position awareness, interoception, internal pain perception, and oxygen level sensing. Science has long expanded this list, but the simplified school curriculum persists. Seventh fact, veins appear blue although the blood within them is red. It's simply that venous blood is darker than arterial blood. The blue color is an optical illusion, a result of the skin filtering light and scattering short wavelengths. Biological processes are not involved. Eighth fact, the statement that sugar directly causes diabetes is untrue. Type 2 diabetes arises from a complex of factors: genetics, excess weight, and insulin resistance. Excessive sugar can contribute to obesity, but it does not, in itself, trigger the disease. Ninth fact, the belief that shaving makes hair thicker and coarser is a misconception. After being cut, hair loses its natural tapering at the end, making it appear coarser. However, hair thickness and density are determined by hormones and genetics. A razor cannot alter the structure of the follicle. 10th fact, the common yet dangerous advice that milk helps with poisoning is untrue. Milk can actually increase the absorption of certain toxins, especially those soluble in fats. First aid for poisoning involves gastric lavage and seeking medical attention, not a mug of milk with bread. 11th fact, the continued growth of nails and hair after death is a misconception. In reality, the skin shrinks, making the nail bed and hair shafts appear longer. This creates the illusion of growth. Actual growth, however, is impossible without living cells and an energy supply. 12th fact, a dangerous myth persists. Antibiotics cure viruses, especially during colds and influenza. In reality, antibiotics only affect bacteria. Viruses are unaffected by them. Their pointless use leads to bacterial resistance and disrupts the microflora. Fact 13. The need to sleep 8 hours a day is not a universal rule. Some people need only 6 hours, while others find 9 hours insufficient. Sleep quality, phases, genetics, and age play a significant role. The main thing is to wake up feeling rested, not to conform to a mythical norm. 14th fact. The notion that the human brain operates at only 10% of its capacity is a myth. Neuroimaging techniques demonstrate activity in various brain regions even during rest. While we don't utilize the entire brain simultaneously, nearly all its areas are engaged throughout the day. Fact number 15. Gluten is harmful to everyone. This statement is incorrect. Only individuals with celiac disease or gluten sensitivity experience genuine harm from gluten. Others typically digest wheat, rye, and barley without difficulty. The popularity of gluten-free is primarily a marketing strategy, not a medical necessity. Fact number 16. There's a belief that skipping breakfast slows down metabolism. In reality, metabolic rate regulation is complex, involving many factors, and missing one breakfast won't significantly impact it. A morning meal is important for energy levels and concentration, but it doesn't start the body from scratch. Fact number 17. The warming sensation from alcohol is deceptive. Ethyl alcohol dilates blood vessels, causing blood to rush to the skin's surface, creating a feeling of warmth. However, this simultaneously accelerates the body's heat loss. In freezing temperatures, this is particularly dangerous. An intoxicated person feels warm, while their body is actually cooling down. Fact number 18. Using vinegar to lower fever is an outdated and risky method. Vinegar compresses can irritate the skin, and inhaling vinegar fumes can cause poisoning, especially in children. The cooling effect is short-lived. To reduce fever, it's better to use proven antipyretics. 19th fact. A myth originating in the 2000s claims that using a mobile phone during a thunderstorm is dangerous. This is false. A phone does not attract lightning. Tall objects, open spaces, and metal objects pose a real danger. Electronics themselves do not make a person a target for a lightning strike. 20th fact. The idea that carrots improve eyesight is a pleasing but exaggerated notion. Vitamin A, found in carrots, is indeed necessary for eye health, but an excess will not improve vision. The myth itself gained popularity thanks to British propaganda during the Second World War. Fact number 21. If food falls to the floor and you pick it up within 5 seconds, it doesn't mean it's safe to eat. Bacteria contaminate food almost instantly, especially if it lands on a dirty surface. The 5-second rule is a self-deception lacking scientific basis. The risk depends on where the food fell, not how long it lay there. Fact 22. Lightning-fast intuition isn't always right. More often, it's an automatic reaction based on past experience. While sometimes helpful, it frequently leads to mistakes and biases. In complex situations, intuition can be misleading, especially with a lack of information. Fact number 23. The statement that sugar causes addiction, like narcotics, sounds strong, but doesn't correspond to reality. A pleasant taste and a quick surge of energy can form a habit, but sugar doesn't cause physical dependence like substances do. It's more of a psychological craving. Fact number 24. Sitting close to a screen doesn't necessarily ruin your eyesight. Modern screens are safer than older ones, and the key factors are not the distance, but the duration of use and eye strain. It's important to take breaks, blink frequently, and ensure proper lighting. Proximity itself isn't harmful. Fact number 25. The claim that cameras watch you through your television is unsettling. However, most televisions do not have built-in cameras. Smart TVs with video call functionality are the exception. To gain access, a malicious actor would need to hack into your network, a task requiring significant preparation. Fact number 26. It is possible to fall ill from an air conditioner only if it is poorly maintained. Cold air itself does not cause illness. The danger lies in the bacteria and mold inside dirty filters. With cleaning and a moderate temperature, the air conditioner is safe and even reduces dust levels. Fact number 27. The frequent shaving causes accelerated hair growth. This is an optical illusion. The shaved end appears thicker, especially when the hair grows straight up. However, neither the growth rate nor the density changes from shaving. The follicles do not receive commands to work faster. Fact number 28. The widespread belief that people use only one side of their brain is a myth originating from pop psychology. Neurophysiological research demonstrates that both hemispheres actively cooperate in most tasks. The concepts of left-brained and right-brained personality types are merely marketing ploys lacking scientific support. Fact number 29. A common misconception is that hair and nails continue to grow after death. In reality, all biological processes cease after death. The illusion of growth is due to the dehydration of the skin. The skin retracts, exposing more of the hair and nail roots. This is a visual effect, not actual cellular activity. Fact number 30. The claim that sunflower seeds cause appendicitis is a frightening but unproven assertion. Appendicitis itself is an inflammation associated with infection or blockage, not a specific food. While it's theoretically possible for seed husks to enter the appendix, this is an extremely rare occurrence. Fact number 31. Reading on a phone damages eyesight more than reading books. However, the platform is not the key factor. Rather, it's the behavior, the distance to the eyes, the lighting, and the duration. Electronic screens are no more harmful than paper if you observe eye hygiene and don't spend hours reading without a break. Fact number 32. Coffee dehydrates the body, only with excessive consumption. Moderate doses of caffeine, 2 to 3 cups a day, do not remove water in dangerous volumes. Moreover, a cup of coffee still contains water, which means it partially replenishes the fluid balance. Fact number 33. Carbohydrates don't hinder weight loss by themselves. The problem lies in overeating and lack of exercise. Whole grains, fruits, and vegetables contain carbohydrates and help control weight. Demonizing macronutrients is an oversimplification that doesn't yield results. Fact number 34. The statement that lemons kill viruses sounds plausible, but it's ineffective in practice. Vitamin C is essential for maintaining immunity, but it doesn't destroy viruses on its own. Neither lemon tea nor lemon juice works as an antiseptic. Their effect is limited to slightly alleviating symptoms. Fact number 35. A common misconception is that eating at night inevitably leads to weight gain. The truth is that the daily calorie balance is crucial, not the time of eating. Weight increases when the number of calories consumed exceeds the number of calories expended. Food eaten after 8 o'clock in the evening does not magically transform into fat if you are active and eat within the recommended calorie intake. Fact number 36. Everything natural is considered beneficial. This isn't always true. Mercury, cyanide, and mold are also natural. Many synthetic substances are safer than their natural counterparts. Dosage, context, and verification are crucial, not origin. Naturalness is not synonymous with usefulness. Fact number 37. If you fall ill, it's important to manage your temperature. Fever is actually a protective response of the body that helps fight viruses. You should only lower your temperature if you experience significant discomfort or if it rises above 38.5 degrees. Fact number 38. If a person is sleepwalking, it's not recommended to wake them abruptly. It is possible to wake them, but gently. A sudden awakening might frighten a sleepwalker, but it won't cause physical harm. It's far more dangerous to let them fall or bump into something. The priority is to ensure their safety, not to fear waking them. Fact 39. A common misconception is that the more you sweat, the more fat you burn. However, sweating is a thermoregulation mechanism, not an indicator of fat burning. You can sweat profusely in a sauna, for instance, but you will hardly lose any calories. Real changes come from physical exercise and a balanced diet, not from a wet t-shirt. Fact number 41. Eating vegetables raw isn't always the healthiest option. Heat treatment can improve the absorption of certain nutrients, such as lycopene in tomatoes. Boiling destroys some vitamins, but it also activates other beneficial components. The key to maximizing the benefits of vegetables lies in variety, not in blindly following the raw food trend. Fact number 41. A common misconception is that after a single workout at the gym, muscle turns into fat. This is incorrect. Muscle and fat tissues are different types of tissue, and one cannot transform into the other. With the cessation of training, muscle mass decreases, and if the diet remains high-calorie, fat mass increases. However, this is not a transformation, but a replacement. Fact number 42. Vision can be improved with eye exercises, but this does not apply to myopia or hyperopia. Eye gymnastics can relieve fatigue, but it will not change the length of the eyeball or the shape of the lens. This is due to anatomical features. Glasses and contact lenses only compensate for vision defects but do not cure them. Fact number 43. The claim that keeping a phone next to your pillow causes brain tumors is false. Scientific reviews have found no convincing evidence linking mobile device radiation to cancer. The signal strength is too low to damage cells. The main point is not to disrupt sleep. Fact number 44. Severe hypothermia can increase the susceptibility to influenza. However, cold itself does not cause influenza. Influenza is caused by viruses. Hypothermia weakens the immune system, making the body more vulnerable to infection, but it does not directly cause the illness. Whether or not a person becomes ill depends on contact with an infected individual and the overall state of their health. Fact number 45. A burst blood vessel in the eye is often mistakenly associated with high blood pressure. In reality, it's more frequently a consequence of stress, overexertion, or a sudden movement. Intraocular pressure and arterial blood pressure are not necessarily related. While it looks alarming, it usually resolves without any lasting effects. Fact number 46. A common belief is that gray hair appears from fear or intense stress overnight. This is a dramatic but inaccurate statement. Hair color does not change instantly. The pigment in the hair fades gradually. Stress can accelerate this process, but not within a day. Hairs that have already grown do not change color. Fact number 47. The belief that infrequent haircuts accelerate hair growth is incorrect. Hair growth is determined by hair follicles, not the length of the hair. Split ends can create the illusion of slow growth, but the frequency of haircuts does not affect the growth rate. Health, nutrition, and hormones influence hair growth speed. Fact number 48. Consuming large amounts of vitamin C doesn't guarantee immunity from illness. High doses don't prevent infection, but may slightly shorten the duration of a cold. Excess vitamin C is excreted in urine, and an overabundance can cause stomach irritation and diarrhea. More is not always better. Fact 49. Intelligent children don't always start speaking early. Speech development varies considerably, and a later start doesn't indicate a developmental delay. Some future geniuses remain silent until the age of 3. The crucial factor isn't the timing of the first word, but the overall interaction, comprehension, and growth of vocabulary over time. Fact 50. The belief that weight training burns more fat is common. In reality, the effect is minimal. Weights increase stress on joints and the risk of injury, without significantly increasing calorie expenditure. Regular training with the correct intensity and recovery is more effective. Fact 51. The belief that sunscreen is only necessary in the summer is incorrect. Ultraviolet radiation is active year-round. Its intensity is particularly high on snow, in mountainous areas, and even on cloudy days. Daily sunscreen use is an important factor in preventing skin cancer and premature aging, not just a summer habit. Fact 52. If ice cracks, it is about to break. Ice often cracks even at a safe thickness. This is a natural sound effect of expansion and stress. The danger lies not in the sound itself, but in the structure of the ice, currents, and the presence of weak spots. A rumbling sound is not a death sentence, but a warning. Point 53. Not eating before bed can disrupt sleep. Mild hunger doesn't interfere with sleep, but overeating does. Especially heavy food causes heartburn, raises body temperature, and hinders falling asleep. The best solution is dinner 2 to 3 hours before bed, no later. Fact 54. Hair can adapt to a particular shampoo, leading to a perception of decreased effectiveness. This feeling is linked to changes in the scalp's condition, weather patterns, diet, or hormonal fluctuations. The shampoo itself doesn't become less effective. A change of shampoo is only necessary if irritation, dryness, or other symptoms appear. Fact number 55. The widespread belief that carbonated lemonades cause stomach rupture is unfounded. While these drinks may cause bloating and discomfort due to the gases they contain, they do not damage internal organs. The stomach is elastic and can handle gas expansion. The term explosion is a metaphor, not a medical diagnosis. Item 56. A common misconception is that creative people are necessarily chaotic. Disorder is not equivalent to genius. Many creative individuals are structured, meticulous, and work according to a strict schedule. Chaos may inspire, but it is not a condition of talent. It's more of an image than a regularity. Item 57. A high temperature in a baby doesn't automatically mean teething. While teething can cause mild discomfort, a high temperature is a sign of infection. These events often coincide, leading to confusion among parents. A true fever should always be taken seriously. Point 58. If a mercury thermometer breaks, it's crucial to collect all the mercury droplets. The danger isn't from the liquid mercury itself, but from its vapors, especially in poorly ventilated areas. Using a vacuum cleaner or a broom is prohibited. Ventilation, a mask, sulfur powder, or professional disposal are necessary. Fact number 59. Feeding a dog cheese can cause diarrhea. In moderate amounts, cheese is safe for most dogs. The harm is not caused by the cheese itself, but by the excess fat and lactose it contains. The reaction is individual. To say absolutely forbidden is an exaggeration. Fact 60. If a child is left-handed, they should not be retrained. Forcing a change in handedness can lead to stuttering, anxiety, and difficulties with writing. Left-handedness is not a deviation, but a variation of the norm. The brain works differently, but no less effectively. The system should adapt to the child, not the other way around. Fact 61. The belief that sleep is forbidden after a stroke is a dangerous myth. Sleep does not worsen the condition, it aids recovery. The most important thing is to call an ambulance as soon as possible and not waste time. Sleep deprivation and anxiety, however, can exacerbate brain damage. Fact 62. Mixing alcohol and energy drinks creates a false sense of alertness without any real benefits. In reality, caffeine masks the effects of intoxication, so a person doesn't notice the loss of coordination. The heart is overworked and blood vessels constrict. This is not energy, but a dangerous overload. Fact number 63. Chicken eggs raise cholesterol levels. Not in everyone. The yolk does contain cholesterol. However, current research demonstrates that in healthy individuals, eggs have almost no impact on levels of bad cholesterol. The effect of sugar and trans fats is much stronger. Fact 64. To lose weight, one should eat less. However, overly strict diets slow down metabolism, cause breakdowns, and lead to deficiencies. A more effective approach is a steady reduction in calories, regular meals, and physical activity. Fasting without understanding the processes involved is counterproductive. Fact 65. Blind individuals possess exceptionally sensitive hearing. This is not an innate ability, but rather an adaptation. The brain redistributes its resources. In the absence of sight, attention to other signals is heightened. However, hearing itself doesn't improve. Perception and training change. Fact 66. In the event of a catastrophe, technology will immediately cease to function. However, many devices will continue to operate without internet and mobile connectivity. Radios, flashlights, mechanical clocks, older cars, and even paper maps are independent of global systems. Fact 67. The price of a cream doesn't necessarily correlate with its effectiveness. The cost often reflects marketing, packaging, and brand recognition rather than the ingredients. Many inexpensive creams contain the same active substances as luxury creams. Effectiveness depends on the ingredients, not the price. Fact number 68. It is commonly believed that a cat sneezing predicts a change in the weather. In reality, however, this can be a symptom of an allergic reaction, an infection, or simply indicate the presence of dust in the air. Cats, like humans, react to various irritants. Therefore, the explanation linking a cat's sneeze to a change in weather is an appealing but unproven theory. Fact 69. During an airplane flight, the heart experiences increased workload. However, this poses no danger to healthy individuals. The cabin pressure is regulated, and the altitude has virtually no effect. The risk is only present for people with severe heart conditions, and even then, only during long and stressful flights. Fact number 70. The common belief that microwaves kill vitamins is inaccurate. This cooking method is no more harmful than others. In fact, due to the short cooking time and lack of water, more nutrients are retained compared to boiling. Radio waves don't make food empty, they simply heat it up quickly from the inside. Fact number 71. Applying alcohol to the ear for otitis is ineffective and potentially harmful. It can increase pain and irritation, especially if the eardrum is damaged. Self-treating ear infections is dangerous. It's better to see a doctor than to guess what's wrong and try to treat it yourself. Fact 72. A person can unexpectedly wake up during surgery. With general anesthesia, the probability of awareness is a fraction of a percent. Modern monitoring tracks the depth of sleep, and awakening under the scalpel is a rare exception. The myth is fueled by films, not statistics. Fact 73. The absence of sweating during illness is a bad sign. Sweating is a thermoregulation mechanism, not an indicator of recovery. A high temperature can persist without sweating, and this is sometimes normal. The main factors to consider are the overall well-being and response to treatment, not the presence of sweat on the forehead. Fact 74. Heating honey alters its properties. High temperatures cause the degradation of some enzymes, affecting its taste. However, this does not render honey poisonous. The myth originates from a misunderstanding of the chemistry involved. Heated honey doesn't offer enhanced medicinal benefits, nor does it become toxic. Fact 75. People with thin bodies are not automatically healthier. Appearance does not reflect blood sugar levels, blood pressure, or strength. Skinny fat is a term describing low weight with a poor metabolic profile. Health is determined by test results, exercise, sleep, not clothing size. Fact 76. The claim that sugar causes hyperactivity in adults lacks scientific evidence. While a brief surge in energy is possible after sugar consumption, it's short-lived and followed by a decline. Mood and behavior depend on numerous factors: sleep, stress, hormones, not solely on dessert intake. Fact number 77. Constantly clicking one's fingers might lead to the development of arthritis. The clicking sound originates from the release of gas from the synovial fluid in the joint. However, scientific research has not established a link between this habit and joint inflammation. At most, it might annoy those around, but it does not cause cartilage damage. Fact 78. In the vacuum of space, a human body will not explode instantly. However, the consequences will be severe. Without a spacesuit, a person will lose consciousness in 10 to 15 seconds due to hypoxia. Tissue swelling will then begin, but the body will not rupture. Films greatly exaggerate this effect. Fact 79. Coffee dependence is similar to drug dependence. Caffeine can be addictive, but it's a mild addiction. Withdrawal causes irritability, drowsiness, and headaches, but these symptoms disappear within a couple of days. There is no severe withdrawal, craving, or life destruction. Fact 80. The appearance of pimples is often attributed to dirty hands. While hands can transfer bacteria, this isn't the primary cause. The main factors are hormonal changes, clogged pores, and inflammation. Frequent washing and rubbing the face can worsen the situation. Hygiene is important, but it's not a magical cure for acne. Fact 81st. A person's silence doesn't automatically mean they're hiding something. Silence can be a sign of fatigue, anxiety, introversion, or simply a lack of words. People express emotions in diverse ways. Interpreting silence as guilt is a projection, not a universal rule. Fact 82. The sound of snow crunching underfoot indicates the purity of the air. The intensity of the crunch depends on the temperature. In severe frost, snowflakes are compressed and break easily. This is a physical, not an ecological phenomenon. Therefore, the presence of crunching snow does not guarantee clean air. One can walk on crunchy snow and breathe polluted air, and vice versa. Enjoy clean air in silence, without the sound of crunching snow. Fact number 83. There is a widespread belief that spiders frequently crawl into the mouths of sleeping people. This myth has persisted for decades, but biologists refute it. Spiders avoid vibrations, noise, breathing, and the smell of humans. Under normal conditions, the probability of such an invasion is almost zero. Fact 84. If you hear a ringing or clicking sound in your ear, it might be an earwax blockage. However, this isn't always the case. Sounds of the ear can be caused by inflammation, pressure changes, or even problems with blood vessels or temporomandibular joints. An earwax blockage is one possibility, but certainly not the only one. Only a doctor can determine the exact cause, not a cotton swab. Fact number 85. A draft in the neck is often immediately associated with osteochondrosis. In reality, it's usually a muscle spasm caused by sudden cooling. Osteochondrosis is a chronic degeneration of the intervertebral discs, not something that develops in a single day. The myth persists due to the similarity of symptoms. Fact number 86. A common misconception is that childbirth inevitably leads to tooth loss. While pregnancy can negatively impact gum health due to hormonal changes and potential calcium deficiency, it does not inherently cause tooth decay. Proper oral hygiene, vitamin supplementation, and regular dental checkups effectively address and prevent such issues, regardless of the number of pregnancies. Fact number 87. Keeping a phone in your pocket for a long time may lead to infertility. However, the link between radio frequency radiation and fertility hasn't been proven yet. The more likely causes are high temperature and tight clothing. The main risk is overheating, not the signal itself. Research is ongoing, but there's no need to panic. 88th fact. If a child fantasizes a lot, it doesn't mean they can't distinguish reality. A rich imagination is not a sign of pathology. On the contrary, it's a stage of cognitive development. The ability to play, invent, and tell stories is the basis of abstract thinking, not a cause for concern. Fact number 89. A common misconception is that constantly wearing glasses will worsen eyesight. This is incorrect. Glasses do not cause eye muscles to relax or become lazy. Their purpose is to correct focus, enabling clear vision. Vision impairment is linked to genetics, age, and eye strain, not the wearing of glasses themselves. The best time to take vitamins is in the morning. However, the timing depends on the type of vitamin. Fat-soluble vitamins should be taken after meals, while water-soluble vitamins can be taken at any time. It's worth noting that some vitamins, such as B6 and magnesium, are preferably taken at night to avoid sleep disturbances. There is no universal schedule for vitamin intake. Fact number 91. Individuals with dark eyes tend to have slightly better night vision. Iris color does influence light sensitivity, but the difference is minimal. In reality, nighttime visual acuity is more significantly determined by overall vision quality, age, and the health of the retina rather than eye color. Fact 92. If food falls on the ground but is then boiled, it doesn't necessarily become safe. Some toxins and bacterial spores are not destroyed by boiling temperatures. Mold fungi and botulinum are particularly dangerous. The initial cleanliness of the product is more important than reprocessing. Boiling is not a magic cleaner. Fact number 93. There's a misconception that if one smokes without coughing, it's safer. In reality, the harm comes not only from the smoke itself, but also from its components: tar, carbon monoxide, and carcinogens. The absence of a cough doesn't indicate a lack of harm, as coughing is a protective mechanism of the body. Smoking without coughing is just as dangerous as smoking with a cough. Fact number 94. Consuming activated charcoal after alcohol consumption does not prevent a hangover. Activated charcoal is effective in various poisonings, but it does not neutralize ethanol. It does not absorb alcohol from the blood and does not protect the liver. Any positive effect will be minimal and delayed if the charcoal is not taken immediately. Fact 95. Wisdom teeth removal? Always necessary? Not necessarily. If a wisdom tooth erupts correctly, doesn't damage adjacent teeth, and doesn't cause inflammation, it can be preserved. Removal is surgery with inherent risks. The dentist decides based on an X-ray, not the patient's age. Fact number 96. A nosebleed is often associated with high blood pressure. It's true that hypertension can damage blood vessels, leading to bleeding. However, in most cases, a nosebleed is caused by dry air, injury, or fragile blood vessels. Not every nosebleed is a sign of a serious medical condition. Fact 97. Aging is an inevitable degradation of the organism. In reality, many functions can be preserved or even improved with age: endurance, cognitive skills, emotional intelligence. Biological age depends more on lifestyle than on chronological age. Fact 98. Playing music for plants might accelerate their growth. However, scientific studies haven't provided conclusive evidence. Sound can affect the microclimate and cause vibrations, but there's no direct link between melody and photosynthesis. Lighting, water, and soil are crucial factors, not a playlist. Fact 99. Having fallen ill once during a season doesn't guarantee immunity for the rest of it. Some viruses do leave behind immunity, but many mutate, leading to the possibility of reinfection. This is especially true for influenza and acute respiratory viral infections. One season's immunity isn't a lifelong guarantee. Immunity is neither permanent nor universal. Fact number 100. A lack of appetite in the morning suggests a bad day ahead. Morning hunger is a matter of habit, not prediction. For some people, breakfast is a mandatory ritual. For others, it's an unnecessary burden. Energy levels depend on sleep patterns, stress levels, and daily rhythm, not on a sandwich.